karma is a very beautiful concept that puts all the responsibility on you. A lot of people shrug away the responsibility.
So these lokas, the 14 lokas, is this like a heaven and hell kind of concept?
Kind of, yes. The higher and the lower lokas, they are better. So the asuras, they are not like, if you do good deeds, you actually land up in a. Similarly, if you've been really bad, you devolve. You're pushed down into the.
So these lokas, the 14 lokas that you're describing, there are higher lokas, the madhya lok and the lower lokas. Now, is this like a heaven and hell kind of concept?
Kind of, yes. Very similar, but it is not exactly heaven and hell in the sense that, there's no eternal damnation. There's no, you're not always living in the, city of joy, It all depends on a very basic concept of Hinduism, which is called karma.
Right.
So karma is a very beautiful concept that actually puts all the responsibility on you. A lot of people, shrug away the responsibility. They say that, if God wants, this will happen, God willing. So of course, circumstances or God or destiny or fate has to support you in getting some things done. But karma is the theory that tells you that you are the one responsible for your life. Whether it is this life or whether it is the previous life where you performed certain actions or many lives that you have lived before. All that accumulated karma is deciding your fate. And then your present actions, you can counter that fate. You can try and counter it also with your present actions. That's also mentioned in the scriptures that your present actions are more powerful than the destiny that has come from your previous actions. And that's how the universe runs. So the cycle, runs automatically on this algorithm. So God does not interfere everywhere and, he does not really have that much time to sit and play with every person's destiny.
So the other realms aren't physical realms, right?
No, so that's what I'm coming to. So the theory of karma tells you that, if you do good deeds, you actually land up in a higher or a more evolved form.
Okay.
And that more evolved form, we know on Earth, we are the highest, we are the pinnacle of evolution, right? What else is there beyond this? Humanity has not evolved further after, whatever thousands of years that we have been existing. There is no further evolution. Neither in terms of our, mental capabilities, not our spiritual abilities, and, so the yogis and the mystics of the ancient time, they delved deeper into their consciousness. And they realized that there are a lot of aspects that we don't understand. There's a lot of metaphysics, there's a lot of mental abilities also, the siddhis.
Yes.
If you've heard of Ashtasiddhi,
Absolutely.
So the siddhis are capabilities that you can develop through meditation. So they realize that there's a lot that can still happen. And probably basis that they realize that, from humanity upwards also there is a ladder of evolution. And all these higher evolved beings are believed to live in the higher lokas. That is why they're called higher lokas, because they sustain a higher form of life. And this includes, the devas, gandharvas, yakshas, the rishis, the manasputras of Brahma. So these are the higher lokas. They are physical realms. They are not in a different dimension. They are existing in this very universe. They are very much a part of this physical reality. And they exist in our universe. It's just that they are on a different, probably a different galaxy or a different solar system. They're not in our immediate neighborhood. And similarly, when you devolve because of your bad karma, you reach a lower state, which could be on the planet itself as a plant or an animal or an insect or an amphibian or whatever. Or it could, if you've been really bad, So sort of the parallel of heaven and hell comes, where if you've been really bad, you're pushed down into the hell. So here, hell is a different entity altogether. Narak, there's 28 different types of naraks.
Oh,
Yeah, which are even below the lower lokas.
you mean the 14 lokas ke niche there's another
Yes.
set of 28?
Yes, which is the Narak realm, the hellish realm. But that is separate. But based on what activities you have done, if you're more asuric, more demonic in your life, in your karma, it will lead you to the lower lokas, where you'll be born probably as a naga or a daitya or a rakshas or a asur. Asur is again an umbrella term. So as a negative being.
What exactly happens in those realms which is different from our current?
So those realms, actually, interestingly, the higher and the lower lokas, both of them are more, they're better in terms of the physical abilities. They are more ostentatious, they have more resources than the Madhya lokas. So the asuras are also very well-to-do. So they are not like paupers. They're not struggling to make two ends meet. They're living in luxury. So asura. So see, if you imagine what happens to a kid who's born in a very rich family, there are two ways the future can go, right? One is he follows the paths laid down by dharma, society, religion, and he progresses further, in his own spiritual journey, taking his family to a higher level and bringing up the society along with him, to a higher level. Whereas the other most common thing that you see is, when the kids get spoiled.
Right.
When you have a lot of money, there's drugs, there's everything
Because
that
you've
goes
got
on.
access to so much, right?
Because you have access to so much and you don't have value for money.
Right.
You don't have value for that effort. So the difference between Swarg and, the Bill Swarg, it's called, because it is a miniature or an underground Swarg. Because it has all the opulence that is there in Swarg, but the tendency of people living there is demonic.
Yeah.
So those are the two things that can happen, right? So Madhya Lok, why it's called Madhya, it's in the center. It may not be in the center geographically in the universe, but it is Madhya Lok because here you have the opportunity to go either up or down.
You're given that opportunity.
You're given that opportunity.
Is this the toughest one?
This is a tough place to be in, yes, but if you realize how this universe works, the law of karma, you control what you're doing, you consciously put an effort to do good karma, then this is the best place to be, because then you can actually evolve further. But if you ignore all that and if you immediately jump into sense gratification and you're abusing the opportunities that you have, you'll end up in the lower lokas. So the only difference between higher and lower lokas is the tendency of the people living there.
That decides where they go.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
The one thing that I was always intrigued and mystified me of late, since I'm reading a lot about your blogs and similar stuff, that science actually stops once death happens. They have nothing to say as to what happens to the soul or the consciousness, etc., of that person who's passed away. Whereas our ancient scriptures talk a lot about that. They talk about rebirth, they talk about 84 lakh births before that. They talk about creation, where modern science has got other than the Big Bang theory, they've got no other theoretical basis as to say that why are we here, where do we come from, and where do we go. So I want to just get in, talk about creation in terms of, the laws of creation and how we were created based on our scriptures, and also about, why there are 84 lakh births that somebody has to go through that cycle to become a human being. So I want you to just talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So creation itself, is a very beautiful topic. And if you go to the scriptures, there are different set of scriptures, first of all. A lot of Hindus don't understand why do we have so many scriptures. So the Vedas are meant for a different intellect. So people who are more intellectually oriented are supposed to read the Vedas. People who are more into stories, they're supposed to read the Purans. Itihas is again making the same philosophy available to the masses. So the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. Bhagavad Gita is a very, very simplified summary of the Upanishads, which are very difficult to grasp for an ordinary person, but Bhagavad Gita you can still understand. So there's different scriptures that give out information which is needed to live in this world and to actually live better in this world. And they give it for all sorts of intellects. There's different categories that are available. So when we're talking about the theory of karma, the theory of rebirth, incarnation, this is also a theory to help you understand why things happen in life that you don't find a reason for. Why are certain children born with disability or defects? Why would a pious person suddenly meet with an accident, or something really bad happens to a very good person? In your present life, you can't find an answer to that. Why would that have happened? Why someone born blind? What is the fault of that child? That his whole life, he or she has to deal with that disability, So the answer comes from the previous karma that you've done. So, and again, the theory of karma, it talks about 3 different types of karma. So there is the sanchit karma. Sanchit is accumulated. All the lives that you've lived previously, all that karma has accumulated is called sanchit karma. When you're born in this present form, some part of that sanchit karma is taken up for fruition. That this will be executed now. In this life, you'll have to face a certain part of that karma, because everything you can't deal with in one single life. So that is called the prarabdha karma, which is already now taking shape, taking effect. And then you have the vartaman karma, which is your present karma. So your life is a mix.
It's a test.
It's a test. It's a mix of all that you've landed with in this life, in this form, and what you do with it. So the theory of 84 lakh births or 84 lakh yoni, I feel it somehow, resembles the number of species that exist on this planet. Because these yonis that we talk about, the forms that we take, they are different forms of life. It's not within human form that you have 84 lakh varieties. It's not that. It's the 84 lakh life forms that you pass through the cycle to come to the stage of evolution of a human. And it is said that the last birth that you take in 84 lakh, after the cycle of 84 lakh, is of a human. So I feel it basically tells us that, there's a whole evolution that has happened to bring you to a stage where you are the only species on this planet with the intellect to understand what is going around and with the will to do something about it.
With the free will.
The free will to do something about it and, to act on it. So if you actually see scientifically, if you just Google, how many species are there on this planet, it's very close to 84 lakh. There's about, scientists theorize that there's about 8.7 million species, which is 8.4 lakh, 8.4 million, 84 lakh is 8.4 million. So I feel it's an indication. Again, our Purans are very symbolic. The concepts that they give, they are full of hidden meaning. So I feel that they symbolize these stages of evolution that life has gone through to bring you to that stage where, you can look at yourself, have existential questions, and you can find answers to them also.